And hello everybody, this is NA9, Starter Battle Tournament NA9. Going to be casting you game Day 1 group stages. This is Group D, this is Eclipsis versus Dark Insight. By the way, you're listening to Artemis and...
Bozocat.
Bozocat! Yes. Who's going to be a textual co-caster as well as providing some interesting analysis. So we had a bit of an issue where team started without caster ready and lag spikes and stuff like that, but should be getting going again in a second. And Bozo, if you wouldn't mind retyping out some of the comp stuff, we'll fly through the intro. So in the bottom we have Eclipsis running a double carrier, double guardian, double destro comp. Double carriers are both 6-inch, so they'll have quite a bit of launching power here. Dark Insight running a single destro, double BC, one BC range laser and one BC range missile. Leviathan, five interceptor carrier. I'm not sure what he got with his other upgrade. Maybe a count. And a double second carrier on the bottom, also 5 interceptor. So Eclipsis has a very strong middle with the double destro and the double 5-spine guard. But it looks like Dark Insight is using its Leviathan in the middle instead. Leviathans typically go on the outside lane. Boss Levy, yes. Constant Mutation Levy. Double carriers are going to start to shred up a Nexor who only has 5 ints. So whatever side these double carriers are on is definitely going to be very pushy. Now this is an interesting open by Dark Insight, both a range laser and a range missile. Leviathan can act as an anti-launch, also the laser a bit. But how does the math work out, range missile versus range laser?
The range laser is probably for a little bit of extra protection against launches. With the relatively weak launching available to the center, that's not going to be a problem, but if the carriers cut in and launch the center will have to back. They just don't have enough counters. This is a sort of classic brute force versus brute force, but I like Eclipsis' brute force better. Everything hits with the same range, a range of 8, whereas Dark Insight's got the Destroyer with range 8, the Carrier with launching, which is range 25, and then the BCs with range 9. They can't form a cohesive unit in the same way.
True. And then, well, then there's also Leviathan too, but that's tense, range 6, and then whatever range of bile it decides to get. Currently it's actually upgrading for mutas, so it's upgrading for more launch power. Which
That's a very interesting decision.
It's an interesting decision, particularly considering you have the double 5-spine guardians. I mean, it could be a counter-launching measure for the double carrier on the bottom.
The tentacles would be more efficient for that.
Yeah. So let's take a quick look at the farm, folks. Let's see the Beggy Cam. Alright, Beggy Cam, 550 farm for Eclipsis and 630 farm for Dark Insight. Dark Insight pushing Eclipsis back, mostly the towers. And it's still looking rather healthy, both the Eclipsis Destros out of shields and starting to take hull damage.
That was a very, very bad launch for Eclipsis.
Yeah.
I think they didn't notice that the mutas mutated, and so Lars allowed himself to get caught by the Destro and have his spines get aggroed, while Eddie was off on the side farming. So that actually helped contain Eclipsis very badly. We will see what they do to try to compensate.
Yep. Oblivion's now taking over the side lane. A Nexor got warp tech. He warped out and came back in. Too fast for it to be an ordinary warp. Eclipse is pushing in, trying to get a kill on the... Just trying to pressure on the Destro, actually, not on the BC. But they will have to be backing soon. Nexor coming in now with 4 lasers to help counteract the launches from the double carrier. Eclipsis looks like it's going to be cycling back for upgrades, or it's going to be slowly going back maybe for warp trick, taking advantage of its muscle. Launch a Killer U. So we should launch from Killer U here. Let's take a look at the... I want to take a look at these carriers. Let's see how they're farming. The big push, bit of a push at the top here. So a Nexor, the carrier on the Dark Insight side, is at 117 farm, whereas the Eclipsis carriers are lower down, haven't been able to farm as much. They've been using their ints to harass. And Sunday is not playing on a Sunday, but playing on a Saturday, also doing very well with the farm in the side lane.
Well, it looks like Beggy Ice is pushing out to set a warp point, but Dark Insight is not falling for it.
Yeah, pulling back, noticing that Beggy went back way too early. Though actually Sunday is a little too close for comfort for... And also doing the launch is slowing down, so Sunday's going to be the target for a warp
He's
trick
1.6,
here.
so he's going to get clean away.
Okay. And an Exor warping out again.
This is a great way to keep your enemies from farming, but you'll notice Eclipse has leaked a bunch of farm on the bottom and the top, and even a little bit in the middle too.
Yep. And every bit of leaked farm is leaked minerals.
Ideally, when you execute this, you want to warp a little bit earlier so you don't leak a little bit of farm.
Yeah.
It's just a coordination thing. If you watch Cyberdyne, they do this tactic all the time, and they are very, very clean about it.
The Leviathan is now starting to upgrade Bile and starting to upgrade range at 8/10. And also got an extra Muto now at 6. BC warped in getting scan, just Japens to scan, so we'll be able to spot any future warp tricks. Grim Reaper, BC is actually going for damage and missiles. PCBA is pushing here on Beggy Ice. And he has bots. Gives him a little bit more longevity. Notably, but Dark Insight could have energy superiority with its double BC if they choose to go lockdown. But both teams also have the option of double feedback. Bit of a push back and forth here. Sunday warping out. Perhaps warping to the bottom. Nope, Sunday warping back at base, going to be upgrading ints. Scan here by Japenst. I don't know, maybe it's because they couldn't see Eddie at this point. They know where all the ships is. I don't quite see the point of the scan. Bad warp in by Sunday. Bad warp in on Japenst. Eclipse is taking the opportunity to run down. Oblivion coming in, trying to get his Bile Intense on the Destro. Defend him off. And Exor is too far away, but can try to launch to help. Bit of a lag spike for me. Sorry, folks.
PCBA all down to the orange already.
Ah! I've got the screen of death. I hate my ISP. Why is my ISP doing this to me?
And he's turning orange from that really nasty launch, but he's going to be okay.
So in slow
Some of
stutter
those
step
are
motion, where I think Dark Inside hates me, Eddie is going down in the red.
250, and he's alive.
Oh wow,
That was
close
very,
one.
very close.
Another scan here by Japan. Was it Jess? I'm gonna call you Guess. Okay, BC here.
I've never heard him pronounce his name. I might call him Gepenst because it looks Germany to me.
Okay, let's do Gepenst. Did a scan there. I think that was a bit too premature because Eclipsis was definitely backing from that push. Looks like Beggy is pushing out, possibly for another warp trick. And I'm getting major lag spikes, unfortunately.
Beggy did not turn on that warp trick because not all of his team was available to do it.
Yeah.
This is yet another example of where coordination can radically increase the power of one ship.
I'm on the Bozocat while I check out my settings.
With that double warp in from Eddie and OSB coming to the bottom side. Launches are pushing Annexor back, but not doing heavy damage to him, and meanwhile, the Dark Insight middle is playing a bit stronger still. Now that all of the Eclipse ships have upgraded, we should see them roll Dark Insight back. Particularly since PCBA does not have bots yet, so he does not have the staying power against these two Riverbot destroyers. We have bombardment on Beggy Ice. That may be to help close out a kill, but more likely it's for these big coordinated launches. Apparently having double Spine Guardians just isn't enough at this point.
Yeah, and they're only at about 10. They're only at 8 and 10 spines right now, so not enough to counteract. So Sunday and Nexor 8 and 11. Oblivion's now at 7, so that's enough of a launch.
The launches are keeping Eclipsis balled up, which is causing farm to leak out of the top. Luigi's going off to catch it now.
What's our farming situation like? 1200 farm for Eclipses and 1440 farm for Dark Insight. So Dark Insight has a 200 farm lead here. I'm noticing that Dark Insight is really liberal in warping out and upgrading when they have enough minerals. It looks like an X-Or may be going back for quite a
And they
lot.
only do it a few at a time. If Eclipses paid closer attention, they could use that to time pushes and inflict a lot of damage on the ships that stayed out. But it looks to me like they're playing conservatively for the moment. They do have quite a lot of late game power, and I think they're expecting to use it later.
And looks like Dark Insight is going back for the upgrades. Sunday is out here, possibly could be acting as a warp point. Eclipsis pulling back, not wanting to get caught by this.
To soften him up. We see OSB trying to do just that.
The OSB is in a bit of a vulnerable position here. Oblivion pushing in on the bottom, taking the advantage of Eclipsis farming. Taking the advantage of Eclipsis being balled up there to farm, sorry. There's the Warpin. And scouts. Where are the scouts? There come the scouts by an X-Or. And these are level 3, so fairly weak at this point, but plenty of time to upgrade them later. And of course at this point Eclipsis, they may guess what's going on, 400 energy. They may be suspecting either Tex or Warpin. Warpin could explain a carrier being low on energy at this point, but still, suspicion is scouts. Eclipsis carriers at 11 and 15 scout, 11 15 interceptors. A warp in on Killer U. Baggy Ice warping into the ball. Corrosive Acid by Lars on Oblivion. Double Corrosive Acid for Eclipsis. And do they know that the scouts are coming? Another scan here by Capence. At this point, I don't understand these. I don't understand these scans when they know where most of the team is. But it's better to be safe than sorry. And if you have the energy, go for it. Corrosive Acid and push on Oblivion. Double Corrosive Acid, double stack bombardment by Beggy. Luigi farming it up on the outside lane, top lane. So now 280 farm lead for Dark Insight. Scouts are... Oh, sorry, we have 2 scouts. Scouts now from both ships, level 2 and level 3 scouts from an X-Or on Sunday. Here come the scouts. But not quite at the same time, not quite coordinated there, so Eclipsis is backing up. They know the scouts are there now. Nice bombardment by Beggy. I think that was for the launch, but caught some of the scouts a little bit. And trying to take
put so much stuff in the air that the Guardian Spines can't kill it all.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I agree with that, though, because the scaling on interceptors is that their armor goes up with every upgrade. So you really want to just stack the upgrades on them.
Yeah, and I think they could have coordinated the scouts coming in a little better. They came in 2 separate waves, a little more manageable for Eclipsis. But now, of course...
Eclipsis is not taking advantage of the weakness of these launches to push the center, and so they are falling way behind on farm.
Yep, and now we're at a bit of a soft contain at the towers. But Eclipse is now pushing back out, looking like they're trying to get Gepensed. Now in the red, but nobody nearby to take advantage on. Oblivion was right there with his 11 bile, 8 mutas, and 8 tens. Now getting a little tanky as well, and also getting more health upgrades, now 15k health. Again, another staggered back by Dark Insight, constantly staggering their ships going back and upgrading.
The story of this game for Dark Insight is the story of the Leviathan over-farming and pushing the entire center by himself.
Yep.
That is working extremely well for them. Normally when you put a center Leviathan, it starves, but because the rest of their center is all launching ships, that they don't have high lasers and they're not competing with them for farm at all.
Yep, exactly. Oblivion softening up the Destros a little bit. And next are pulling back the scouts. Bombardment on Oblivion. But then here come the scouts. While bombardment's on cooldown, OSB has protective field. PCBA warps in with his rundown, 7 lasers, 6 armor. Corrosive acid, push here on Oblivion. Eclipse is going to try to get the kill on the Leviathan. Because if they kill Oblivion, then that's a huge blow against Dark Insight. But no, Oblivion's getting away, and Nexor warps in. Level 13 is now. Eclipse is redirecting all their attention to PCBA. Double corrosive acid on PCBA. Destro's on, locked on. 2,000 health. No, at the towers, making it back home. Grim Reaper now at 7 missiles and pods. Both BCs for Dark Insight have pods. Sunday warps in. 12 and 13. Interceptors and level 3 and something, and level 7 scouts. The scouts are starting to get more beefy. And unfortunately another lag spike on my part. No, no lag, please. I didn't sacrifice to the lag gods today. That's why. Is there a lag screen, Bozo? And we are definitely in a lag zone, so I'm just going to try to figure out, guys, what's going on. In the meanwhile, you guys get to listen to something while I try to figure this out, or I drop, which would be very unfortunate.
Hey, you moved my stuff! I'm gonna wreck it!
I can fix it!
Hey, I'm back in the land of living. Are you there, Bozo?
I am there.
Sweet, and OSB is gonna go down. Just protective field pops up, saves him actually. Big trades here, yeah. By the way, anti-endorsement, I hate Bell Internet. If you're in Canada, don't get Bell Internet, it sucks.
Oh my god.
There goes Oblivion.
Oblivion.
There goes Oblivion, so the meat machine, the boss in the center, is gone down. Can you give me a little quick recap, Bozo, what was happening while I was...
So the game lagged out completely, and there was some discussion as to how long to wait before kicking you.
Aww.
Yeah, because nobody knew what was going on, because we are not referees. So, no, if you want to communicate with your casters, make them refs so they can talk to you.
Otherwise you have to PM them personally, which is what I was doing
There
with
was
Luigi
a
earlier.
massive launch of all 6 ships plus 2 groups of scouts, but it was targeted at an armored destroyer with protective field. So that did not make the kill, and a lot of counter damage was taken, which allowed Beggy Ice to turn and bombard.
Yeah, Beggy would have been the better choice in this case, because OSB does have the protective field. So now let's check out the farm situation, folks. So it's now 6-5 for Eclipsis, 2,000 farm for Eclipsis, and it's 1,868 farm for Dark Insight. Now Dark Insight still has their carriers, still has scouts, still has energy boat carriers. And still has their two BC support and their Destro in the middle, but they do lose the DPS of the Leviathan and the late game threat. Sunday scouts now at level 7. Sort of sending them in there. Really, she should be coordinating with an Exor, because these are staggered scout launches.
Lara's going back early, leaving the anti-launch defense soft for Eclipsis, but I don't know that Dark Insight realizes that, because both Guardians are out of sight range.
And also Dark Insight just used up their scouts on the Guardians, so. Eclipsis Guardians now at 12 and 16 spines, going high anti-fighter. Level 16 and 19 interceptors and warp in and quick launch on Killer U and Luigi. Grim Reaper now at 11 on the Dark Insight side. Grim Reaper now at 11 lasers, maintaining one shot. Just a bit unusual for BC. Big push here on Beggy Ice. Scouts and interceptors. Oh no, redirecting to Lars, the Guardian. Very soft, going in the orange already. The rest of the Eclipsis team trying to push away the rest of the Dark Insight team in hopes that they may need to make a trade. Counter launching by the two Eclipsis carriers. And the Guardian is going to be fine at around 700 HP.
Meanwhile, Beggy's taking a lot of hate from the missile DC. He may be going down.
Maybe a bit
Missile DC
overextended
breaks
there.
He's going to be okay. PCBA does not have enough armor-piercing DPS to kill Beggy.
And stops to do a bombardment, which may not have been the best choice there. But
if another coordinated launch goes down on Beggy, though, that's going to be more of a problem.
yeah, he does have reinforced hull, which is going to help out. But the scouts are coming in. There goes Beggy. No, E-Shield. E-Shield pops up.
And then he bots.
Yep, and meanwhile, the what was it? The other Eclipsis Destro got Grim Reaper.
Killer U is going to go down if Dark Insight notices. They're very fixated on Beggy.
Beggy now 200, 100 health. There goes Beggy Ice. There goes Killer U.
Ouch.
So big series of trades. We lost. There was a BC, a Destro carrier involved. Now big push on a Nexor. Eclipse is trying to get the kill here. Now on Dukapenst.
To 3 Dark Insight ships.
They switched to the BC. But there's also PCBA is behind the Guardians, so the Guardians will have to watch out. OSB though is there to tank, and now Eclipsis is back in tanking formation.
The game's over. PCBA cannot escape this alive.
Yep. In the middle of a Guardian and Destro. Push. And there we go. There's the GG, folks. So
Final
that was a
analysis?
crazy series of trades.
That was a very messy, brutal game.
Welcome to NA.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to NA. In the end, I felt like Eclipsis made some mistakes at the beginning, which lost them the initial farm and allowed the levy to get ahead. But losing that levy on the push completely erased that advantage, at which point, because Dark Insight split their upgrades over multiple different paths, they weren't able to inflict as much damage, and eventually the late game pure upgrades of Eclipsis were able to overcome that.
Yep. And I think Dark Insight could have done a better job with they could have done a bit of a better job with their scout attacks, because they were just not coordinated enough. They were spread out. They weren't tanked by the ints and so on and so forth. So I think they could have capitalized on their scouts a little bit better, but it did help with some of the pressure in the mid game.
The first few were very messy, but on the other hand, they only had like 2 to 3 upgrades on them, so at that point it didn't matter that much.
Yeah.
The later ones were well coordinated.
I agree. So there you have it, guys. This is a Group D. Eclipsis versus Dark Insight. Eclipsis wins. So Bozo and I will be playing, or we'll be casting later, or something. But hope to catch you all later and enjoy NA9. Thanks, Bozo.
Thanks, Artemis.